To that end, we have the following learning outcomes for today, broken down by knowledge, attitude, and skill. And we hope that you will gain knowledge and be able to understand terminology related to microaggressions. We're going to do our best not to have it be too academic, but to leave you with some takeaways related to terminology so that you can have these really important conversations in your staff teams that will allow you to make progress in your buildings. Next, we'd like, in terms of attitude, and this is an area of significant growth for me personally, that you'll decrease your defensiveness when you're confronted about biases and microaggressions, and really learn to have these conversations and receive feedback as the gift that it is intended to be. Next, we'd like you to build two skills. One, being able to recognize microaggressions when they happen, and second, being able to address those microaggressions in your daily life as they happen.
Now we'll move on to what are microaggressions, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. Whenever you do presentations or sessions like this, it's important to have a shared understanding of common phrases that we're using throughout. So in what are microaggressions? They're the everyday verbal, nonverbal, and environmental slights, snubs, or insults, whether intentional or intentional, which communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative messages to target a person based solely upon their marginalized group membership. I kind of want to focus in on intentional and unintentional, because oftentimes when people hear microaggressions, you don't realize when you go into it that these things can be intentional or unintentional. And they think it's more so a purposeful act, when in actuality, it can be a slight that is very unintentional. And we'll address intent versus impact a little bit later, but we thought it would be important to have a clear and a shared understanding of what microaggressions are and what they are not.
Now, as it happens, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are three kinds of microaggressions. We have micro-insults, micro-invalidations, and micro-assaults. Now, we're going to actually go through each of those in a little depth, but it is important to note that we are far less concerned with you being able to identify which type of microaggression is happening in the moment than we are just being able to acknowledge that it is indeed a microaggression. But it is important for us to take a look to see which ones there are. So the first one is a micro-insult. Verbal and nonverbal communications that subtly convey rudeness and insensitivity as well as demean a person. Micro-insults are often unconscious behavior.